We'll start with the prayer and then I'll introduce the topic for today. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashyatai Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Everyone together, please. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you once again for joining us for this session. So we are on the last session of our Gita Wisdom course, and a quick summary of what we have discussed, what was the main subject of this Gita Wisdom course. And we discussed the following. Who am I? We saw on the basis of the science, logic, as well as scriptures, primarily Bhagavad Gita that we quoted often. We are not the body, but spirit, soul. Body is just like a dress to a person. And it is the soul which is the root of desires. All desires comes from the soul. Where am I? We're in the material world, which means there is another place exists, which is called as spiritual world. And the material world is just 1/4 of the total creation of the Lord. What situation I am in? It refers to the soul. In what situation? I am being bound by the material body, covered over by the material body, the gross body, and the subtle body, which means mind, intelligence, and false ego. What am I bound by? Because we have discussed in one of the sessions that material world, Krishna says, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, and he gave you the evidences for it, why it is. And scriptures thus compares material world to a prison house. So how are we bound in this prison house? And and we are bound by the 3 modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamaguna. And what is controlling me? And it is all powerful, all devouring time, which controls everyone. And who is watching me? That is Paramatma. So this is in one essence, the high level discussion that we have done. Of course, we have gone into a lot of details of the subject matter, but just to sum up the whole thing, that's what. And this was a slide actually that I have presented to you in the last week, in the last topic of why do bad things happen to good people, just before getting into the subject matter of karma. And through this slide, I had explained to you how a living entity is able to fulfill any of his desires. The soul has a right to desire, but unless it has been sanctioned by the Lord, the material nature does not provide facilities to execute it. And similarly, the soul desires, and Paramatma, as a superseer, as a judge, awards us based on what we have interacted with the material nature. An example of a restaurant where a person goes to eat, what he orders, what order he places to a waiter, accordingly he is given a bill. So that's what we have discussed. So with that as a little background, this Gita Wisdom course covers the 5 major topics of Bhagavad Gita. And we have already discussed in length about all this. 5 prominent subject matters of Bhagavad Gita, or in essence, of Vedic scriptures. So in Gita Wisdom course, we have got enough of knowledge. The question comes, how do we utilize this knowledge to actually realize that we are not the body but spirit soul? To actually realize our relationship with the Supreme Lord. How can we make this knowledge practical? And that is the subject matter for today. And that's the reason we have called our subject matter today as yoga, or practical yoga. Now, yoga is very famous today. I'm going to speak about it in a couple of minutes ahead. Very, very famous. But what actually is yoga? The scriptures defines, Vedas define, Bhagavad Gita defines, yoga is a process by which we can apply this knowledge and we can connect and get the results of what are promised in the scriptures would happen. So yoga, you can say, is a stage of an experimentation. You have a theory, you study in your school or class, then you have an experiment where you go perform an experiment, and then you get a result. So yoga is a practical application where you apply that. And yoga is not of one kind, there are many kinds of yogas, so that all details we'll see ahead. In essence, yoga, all of you know, that makes you physically healthy, gives you good health. So yoga actually, if I say practically, what it means to all of you right now, yoga is a means to gain access to the higher levels of happiness. We had discussed about the 4 levels of happiness in the very first session. Physical level, mental, I would say emotional, and third is intellectual. And the highest happiness is spiritual happiness. So those who attended those sessions, they can relate to it. How when we are going higher and higher, we are not much bothered about the lower levels of happiness. APJ Abdul Kalam, intellectual happiness. Somebody asked him, why did you got married? And he said, well, I entered in my laboratory at the age of 20. When I came out, I was already 70, 75-year-old. He means he had such a great satisfaction with his intellectual research and absorption. For him, the emotional, which means the relationship, rasa, as well as the physical well-being was not of much importance. And that's the point. So yoga can give us access to the highest level of happiness, that is spiritual happiness. So with that as a little background, we begin our today's topic, yoga for modern age. So we'll begin our discussion today with a verse from Bhagavad Gita, but actually Krishna declares to Arjuna, and through the medium of Arjuna to all of us, where Krishna says, be a yogi, become a yogi. Let's take a look. This is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse number 45. And Krishna says, Tapasvibhyo diko yogi, jnanabhyopi matodikaha, karmibhyaschadiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. And Krishna says, a yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist. Empiricist means a jnani, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. And Lord Shri Krishna here is saying, Arjuna, the best position and the situation for a human is to be on a platform of a yogi. What is a yogi? What Krishna means by it? So I will be asking you this question in a short while. Let's first of all define what is yoga, because yogi must have to do something with yoga. That's the reason somebody can be called as a yogi. So let's talk about yoga. Now, because yoga is pretty much famous these days because of the Western culture adopted to yoga, and then the Indians brought it back to India thinking that, wow, yoga is fantastic. Generally, we have got a copycat mentality these days. So yoga is actually pretty famous. Now we have a Yoga International Day, now where all over the world, thanks to Narendra Modi, I believe he started it, where all over the world, yoga is practiced, the physical form of it. So, if I ask you, what is yoga? What would be your suggestion? What comes into your mind when you hear the word yoga? You have your chat box enabled. If you would like, you can type in. When we speak of yoga, the word yoga, what comes to your mind? You can type in. I hope the chat is enabled for all of you. Yeah, chat is enabled. Ashwini says breathing exercise. Dipasha says connecting with Supreme. Sandeep says asanas. Bhavna says exercise. What else? Immediately the word yoga, when you hear, what comes to your mind? Very first thing. Okay. Yes, as you said, the very first thing if because what is lot spoken about, or whatever is a prominent propaganda, is what we accept to or we adapt to. So very first thing that comes to the mind generally is of asanas. Some do it as a means of for the physical well-being, and for some it is an outcome of extra dosage. But it's an interesting picture. Somebody is intentionally doing it, and for someone it is unintentionally happening, but an asana. Jokes apart, the point is asanas means that these days you attend to Ramdev Baba or any other personality. Of course, it has a great physical well-being, great physical advantage, no doubt about it, and all regards and respects to the great personalities like Ramdev and others who actually have brought down the knowledge of yoga to everyone. So they emphasize a lot. If you have a pain in your body, if you have a gastric issues, if you have this and that, if you have overweight problem, do asanas and your body would heal. So at least we understand that there is a physical benefit, and if you do it, we'll get it. But that's not yoga all about. But yes, yoga has its advantage for sure. And the second thing that comes to mind when we think of yoga, as many of you said, is meditation. Now here is my question to all of you. Like as you said, pranayama, dhyana, and whatnot. If it is for meditation, so my first question to all of you, meditation means to meditate on something. So on what are we supposed to meditate? And why to do meditation? I have a two-sided question to all of you. We'll make it a little interactive. So the first thing, meditate on whom? Because meditation is spoken about a lot at length. Just before the session, I had shared a video with all of you on the group about transcendental meditation. So meditate on whom? Because we have to meditate on something, right? That's what meditation means. Second, why do meditation? Asanas, because it gives us relief from material or physical distresses, gives us a good healthy body. What's the advantage of meditation? Why do we do meditation? Any thoughts on it? You have a chat enabled. If you would like to type in what's your thought about meditation. To calm our mind, gives positive energy. I'm just reading out your answers. Concentrate, they say meditate on Om Shabda. Okay, Bhavana says focus. Sandeep says to see our inner selves. Okay, interesting, isn't it? Same thing we saw with the asanas and same thing we are seeing here with meditation. As many different voices, that many different opinions. In other words, as many different personalities, to that much degree, we have different opinions and understandings to reduce stress and whatnot. Let's take a look at what the science have taught us today about meditation. And they say meditation is to be the greatest, antidote for stress. Just quick some slides, prominent slides, or the, you can say the diagrams or a summary of what they say benefits of meditation. They say it reduces pain, enhances the body's immune system, reduces negativity, increases blood flow, gives a sense of calm, helps reverse heart diseases, helps control thoughts, and reduces stress. Not only this, you look at, I have 2-3 examples here. If you look at all of these, more or less is the same thing, but a little bit different language. Lowers blood pressure, reduces emotional explosions, and so forth. And this is from published in an internal medicine magazine, Science Direct, from University of Kentucky. Again, the same thing. Builds focus, decreases depression, blah, 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 and all that. So what is this meditation indicating to? If you see this meditation, what a poor understanding of meditation we have today is again limited to the physical well-being. I would be more happy, I would be more physically well situated. And that's what the whole idea of asana and meditation has been brought into. And no wonder, because now asanas and meditation, you have no side effects. In other words, you don't have to go to the hospitals to take a treatment. You can do it by yourself, sitting at your place. You don't have to go elsewhere once you learn about the process. And it's fantastic. You may have a one-time cost to pay just to learn the thing because it's chargeable now, because it becomes a commercial. And after that, you can sit back and practice. No wonder this asanas, meditation, combined together with yoga is in vogue. It's become very, very famous. Just want to know why, understanding this whole thing, why yoga has become so famous. What one thing, this asanas and meditation, which gives you a better physical well-being, actually gives you? Why a person is so eager? Why people are so keen? You might have seen in your societies early in the morning, the men and the ladies, sometimes kids, have their yoga mats, underneath one of the hands, and they're walking to maybe a yoga place, yoga center, or open area where they're taught yoga. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. It has its own advantage, but unfortunately, nobody wants to talk anything more than physical well-being. Any thoughts on it? Why people are so tuned into this yoga or the yoga circle these days? Why people are so keen for it? What will happen if you have a far better physical health, if you can live longer? What that gives to you? Now I'm going to connect to what Bhagavad Gita says, but let's see if you can relate to. It brings happiness. Well, it brings you only happiness on the physical level, not necessarily on the emotional, intellectual, and spiritual happiness, because that is not discussed at all. It brings you happiness on the physical level. What is the happiness on physical level? Remember, go back to the very first session where we had a discussion about the physical happiness at under 4 categories. Does anyone remember? Where the physical happiness lies in, there are 4 categories. And the famous shloka from Mahabharata talks about it. Increase of life which can be utilized on progress. Yes, Ashwini, well, that's the goal. Is fantastic. But people don't know about spirituality. So that's what not we are discussing right now. We're focusing on what is the general idea around what people think of yoga. So it brings up physical happiness. So what are the 4 levels of physical happiness? Anyone remembers? From the very first session, I had quoted a verse from Mahabharata. Okay, I'll give you one more hint. Of course, you'll be able to guess the answer after that. What are the 4 similarities? Caution method will help you engage more in sense gratification. Yes, that's physical happiness. But what are those things? That's my question. The 4 things that are common between humans and animals. Yes. What are the 4 things that are common in humans and animals? I don't know, actually, not birth, death, disease. Puja is getting a little more clear. Sleep, eat. What are the 4 things? Yes. Yes. So she remembers the acronym SEED. I'll just type it for all of you here. I guess probably it's been a while. SEED acronym that we had discussed. Sleeping, eating, enjoying, and defending, which enjoyment refers to procreating. So physical well-being, why people are so tuned to? Because that gives you an opportunity to engage more in the 4 activities of sleeping, eating, enjoying, which is procreation, and the D for defense, for protecting oneself. And the verse says, Ahara nidra bhayamathanam cha. And in those discussions, we also saw how this is not actually gives you happiness. Even you say, you may have a good stomach, you can continue to eat anything that you want, let's say up to the age of 90. But can eating give you really a satisfaction? Yeah, but for how long? If you think yes, it gives us satisfaction, so my question to you, for how long? Let's say if I feed you your favorite item today, let's say gulab jamun. How many can you eat? 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10? And now if I bring the 11th gulab jamun in front of you, you would be feeling like vomiting. Oh no, I cannot, it's too much. So is it really happiness? So what is the meaning of happiness on a physical level? Our experience of happiness is proportionate to, do you remember? Our experience of happiness that we say, oh, I'm so happy eating this, let's say gulab jamun, suppose I'm so happy to drink this water. The experience of that satisfaction is directly proportional to what was the equation that we had drawn in one of the sessions? Hare Krishna. Yes, No, not desire. The greater your thirst is, to that degree, you will enjoy the water. Yes or no? Quickly reply with yes or no. So I hope you are getting the point. The more thirsty you are, the more you will relish water, drinking water. And if you have no thirst, then you would find it too difficult to drink any water. Similarly, what we call as an enjoyment, oh, we are really enjoying. It means we have suffered and we are just trying to cover up that suffering with that temporary relief. But still, we're going to come back to it because desires are never satisfied. And that's the reason, if in case any one of you are thinking of a change of your profession, yoga is a fantastic industry. I'm not encouraging, I'm not promoting, but just a side point. It's a whooping 84 billion industry worldwide. 84 billion. Does anyone know how much 84 billion would be in Indian currency? A quick guess. If some of you are pretty good in calculating money matters, any quick guess? Oops, we went ahead. Hare Krishna. Why is it stuck? Okay, working. Yes, anyone know how much would be $84 billion in Indian currency? Okay, this is actually a little big number. In fact, it took me a good amount of time to calculate. Kaushal Prabhu, you are too humble. That's a little too lesser number that you have quoted, 56,000 crore. Actually, $84 billion is equivalent to 6.38 lakh crores. I say again, let's say approximately 6 lakh crores is what $84 billion is. I was just thinking when I was reading this report long ago, our sadhus who lived in the forest is what would master this whole process of yoga. While they would teach the science of yoga, they never charged a penny. And now the people today, after learning the science from those great personalities, have patented these technologies in the West by their strange names, and they are minting money like anything. But I'll tell you, they're not doing yoga. They're just open up physical wellness centers. It's like another form of a hospital where they go and cheat people and draw money from them, but not giving them the real treatment, the treatment for the soul that is required. And that's the reason this yoga has got plenty of money, and yoga gives you physical health so that you can enjoy your senses. That's the reason yoga is so famous. Yoga is not famous because yoga gives you love of Godhead. If that would have been the understanding of all the people, do you think yoga would be taken with so much earnestness and eagerness? Would you think the people, the ladies or the men in their society every morning will wake up in the morning early just to practice love of Godhead or to love God? That's not at all the case. The case is because it gives you an opportunity to enjoy senses. But as we have discussed, they're confused. They're not going to actually enjoy. It's just a suffering. Because the more is your thirst, the more you enjoy water. So suffering is proportionate to your enjoyment. So somebody says, I'm really happy, which means he must be suffering a lot just some time ago. That's the reason he's experiencing the happiness. All right, so yoga, what is yoga meant for? Yoga is meant to connect soul to God. That's the meaning of yoga. Yoga is not meant for an exercise for a shapely body. These are some tertiary benefits, which anyways you get it if you practice yoga properly. But this is not the goal of yoga. The goal of yoga is not, to build a strong body. Just hang again. Yeah. The yoga is meant to connect soul to God. Yoga is not meant for increased lifespan. Again, physical well-being. And similarly, the third point, yoga is not meant to get mystic powers. Of course, when you practice, if somebody does it properly, you may get some side mystic powers. It's just a natural outcome of it. So that's what yoga is not meant for an exercise for a shapely body, increased lifespan, mystic powers, and the photo speaks for itself. You see the animals here, particularly dogs, because ahar nidra bhaya maithunam. If a person just takes yoga for this purpose, he's sorry to say, but he's living an animalistic life because he doesn't know anything better than eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So yoga is actually meant to connect us with the Supreme Personality of Godhead And that gives us the access to the spiritual happiness, which is everlasting and ever increasing, which we cannot understand unless we practice yoga properly. So, what is yoga? The word yoga comes from word yuj. Yuj means to connect, connection. That is what. So, yoga is a process by which we reconnect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the meaning of yoga, first of all. To connect with what? To connect the soul with God. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, as much as the finger is part of the whole body. If the finger is separated from the whole body, yeah, the finger has no value. Similarly, we, being part and parcel of the Lord, separated from the Lord, are struggling and trying to find happiness and some purpose in our life. So then, if this is what yoga is, then what do you think would be a definition of yogi? If yoga means to reconnect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, great. So now, what would be the definition of a yogi? I hope your definition of yogi would be a little different now, not with a gym instructor or the yoga instructor that we have teaching us about gymnastics on the name of yoga. So what would be a definition of yogi now, after understanding what yoga actually means? So who is a yogi? Yogi means who practices yoga. And what is the practice of yoga? To connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So who is a yogi? Any guesses? A person who is not connected to God, or a person who is connected to God? We're talking about who's yogi. Yeah, Kaushal Prabhu is quite close. Absolutely. A person who practices. Yeah, a person who yogi refers to a person. Of course, yogi refers to the master, as Sonam is saying, master of the senses. But yogi also means to a person who is trying to establish one's relationship with God. In other words, his life and activities are aimed at establishing one's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there are different ways of establishing that relationship with God, with Krishna, which Lord Shri Krishna speaks in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad-gita, where ladders of yoga are described. I will not go too much in detail of the subject, but I'll introduce the subject. And when in future we come to Bhagavad-gita, then we'll see in details. So yogas are of 4 levels, beginning with Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. And of course, they have many subdivisions within that. So what is Karma Yoga? Karma Indriyam. Karma Yoga jo hai, karma means work, activity. So Karma Yoga means you perform your activities, you engage your mind and senses in the service of, you perform your duties and use the result of your duties, or result of your work in the service of the Lord. In other words, you perform your duty with detached moods, and whatever result comes, we try to utilize in the service of the Lord. But service of the Lord does not mean that you give everything to the temple. That's not the mean. Maintaining your life, maintaining yourself, maintaining your family, that is also service to the Lord. So I just want to make this connection. You should never misunderstand that, the idea is service to the Lord means one should donate 100% to the temple or to some guru or sadhu. No. Maintaining yourself, maintaining your family is a service to the Lord also. It's about the consciousness. So that's the point I'm making here. Karma Yoga. So once, of course, I guess I should make one more point here. Now, it does not mean that you just spend everything that you want on maintaining your family, thinking that, oh, my wife needs a Mercedes Benz, she wants it, what to do? I need to get it to her. That's not Karma Yogi. That's, you're getting again into the direction of sense gratification. So where you take care of the necessities and also try to serve the Lord. Both things have to be balanced. So that's Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga, where a person engages his mind in studying scriptures and in understanding the absolute truth. So Jnana Yoga or Jnana Yogi. Karma Yogi can be an IT engineer, can be a teacher, student, mother, whoever it is. Jnana Yogi generally refers to people who have renounced and they have gone to the forest. They are living by themselves, retired from active life. That retirement can happen at the age of 5, at the age of 20, or at the age of 80, post-retirement. And they just want to dedicate and understanding the Lord by studying scriptures. So that's a Jnana Yogi. And then comes Dhyana Yoga, where the person, now these are the steps, Karma Yoga, higher to that is Jnana, higher to Jnana is Dhyana. So the practice of these yogas, the Karma Yoga senses gets purified. At Jnana Yoga, your mind gets purified. And Dhyana Yoga, you use your intelligence, and your intelligence gets purified by the practice of Dhyana, and you're able to meditate Dhyana. Use your mind and senses which have come under your control now, and now sit and meditate. That is a stage of meditation. What is a stage of meditation? When your senses and mind are in your control. You're not dictated by the whims of your mind and senses. Then only a person can sit and do dhyana. That's what dhyana yoga is, and that's how dhyana yoga begins. Not that person is engaging in life like an animal or doing anything and everything he wants, and now he can sit and do dhyana or meditation. That's not. This is what the gradual stages are. And then the highest of all that is bhakti yoga. So in karma yoga, you engage senses. In dhyana yoga, you engage your mind. In dhyana yoga, your intelligence. Dhyana yoga, you engage your intelligence. And in bhakti yoga, we engage our soul, which means we engage everything in the service of the Lord. The idea of bhakti yoga is that whatever we do, we try to serve the Lord. And while serving the Lord, we try to serve the humanity and all the living entities. So bhakti yoga is what Krishna says is the topmost. And the question is, why? Now, before we go into the question of why, the question arises, among these four, which is the topmost yoga? Now, who can tell us the answer? Among these four yogas, what is the topmost yoga? This is my question to all of you. If I ask you, these are the four kinds of yoga which are described in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and way before that, Krishna speaks about in Bhagavad Gita and scriptures. So, who can tell you which is the best yoga? Who can tell us? I'm not asking what is the best yoga. I'm asking you a question. Who can actually tell us which is the best yoga? Krishna, Shivam Lavneen. Bhavana says yogi. Which yogi? Bhavana. Karma yogi. Karma yogi will say karma yoga is best. Jnana yogi will say jnana yoga is best. Dhyana yogi would say, because I am doing dhyana yoga, the dhyana yoga is best. Which guru again? Puja, you say guru. Which guru? The gurus are for all the four levels. The Gama, who created these yogas? That's correct. So my question is, who created these yogas? Who created the science of yoga? Only that person can tell us what is the best yoga. It's a beautiful picture. Everything is taught to a child by a father, and father is the origin of the child. Similarly, who can say which version of Microsoft Windows is the best? If I ask you this question, who do you think can say? Don't tell me your IT manager or your IT staff. Technically, who do you think can actually tell us which is the best version of Microsoft Windows? Yeah, Mr. Gates. Why Mr. Gates? Because he's the father of Microsoft, whatever they call Microsoft Office. Yeah, he's the father. He knows. He created it. Who can know better than him? He's the founder. And that's the reason Krishna, being the Supreme Father, Supreme Lord, he's the source. Vedaischa sarvam ahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda deva chaham. I am the source of Vedas. I am the knower of the Vedas. And the purpose of Vedas is to know me. And that Supreme Personality of God, Krishna says, what is the best yoga? Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, verse number 47. Krishna says, who is the best yogi? And whichever is the best yogi is the best yoga. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate omam same yuktatamo mataha. And Krishna says, and of all the yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. and that is my opinion. And that is what is Bhakti Yoga, where a person's life is dedicated in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is Yoga Ladder from third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I have already explained you what this yogas means, and these are the stages. So can we practice Bhakti Yoga? Or do we need to go from Karma Yoga to Jnana to Ashtanga, and then we qualify for Bhakti Yoga? We'll take a look at it in a short while. So let's take a next question. Now we have 4 kinds of yoga. Can all paths lead to same goal? Yes or no? We have 4 different kinds of yoga. Does all the 4 kinds of yoga can take us to same goal? Yes or no? Is my question to all of you. Okay. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know what to assume when you say yes or no, because I can ask you, why do you say no? But we can't interact too much here. So, well, yoga, when you use the word yoga, it ultimately means the destination is God. So yes, all different paths of yoga has a conclusive destination as God only, but it is not that easy. You know, of course, the destination is God, but it's not easy. To give an example, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. Please pay attention to it, huh? Important points. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. Let's couple these 3 yogas together, and let's keep Bhakti Yoga aside. Let's call category A and category B. So say in category A, we have 3 yogas grouped together, Karma, Jnana, and Ashtanga Yoga. What are the commonalities in these three yoga is that the practitioner in this endeavors, it's like he depends a lot on his own endeavor to attain success in yoga in one way, particularly Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Karma Yoga can be directly connected with Bhakti Yoga if the Karma Yogi is fortunate to have a Bhakti Yoga as his Bhakti Yogi as his guru. I don't want to make complicated, but let's see it's not the case. So that's the reason we are coupling Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana or Ashtanga Yoga together. They all depends a lot on their endeavor. Because Karma Yogi, he uses the results of his hard work to serve the Lord, may or may not necessarily be able to serve the Lord properly. Another thing, in all the 3 categories, it's not possible for them to all the time remember the Lord, because most of the time they're actually searching who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are gradually making advancement. They don't know who Supreme Personality. They have faith the Lord exists, and they're trying to discover. So these other yoga paths, particularly Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga, is like, you want to touch your nose and you go like this around your head. You try to touch the nose. That's indirect and a long process. That's foolishness. Bring your hand and touch your nose directly. So Prabhupada would give this example, just like you want to go to the 30th floor of a building. There are 2 ways. Take a staircase or take a lift. Staircase is a slow, gradual process and a very tiring process. Can take a long time. And that's what happened in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. Whereas, why indirect and why long? Please remember 2 things. Because in that, a person depends a lot on his own endeavors. And while practicing this, he may or may not remember the Lord also. There's no guarantee. Because he still doesn't know exactly who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, Bhakti Yoga or Bhakti Yogi has no meaning if, until unless, there is an understanding of who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and what is my relationship what is my position in relationship to him. Unless these 2 questions are clear, Bhakti Yoga does not start only. But once this question is clear, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I am his eternal servant, Mamaivahamsu Jiva Loka Jiva Bhutla Sanatana. I'm eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So the position of the Lord and my position in relationship to the Lord is clear. Then Bhakti Yoga path is compared to a lift. It is very smooth, very quick. And in this, just like you get inside the lift takes you to the 30th floor. You don't depend a lot on your own endeavor. That's what Bhakti Yoga practices. The Krishna Supreme Personality Godhead, He lifts you out from your situation and makes you a great advanced devotee or a yogi. And that's the reason Bhakti Yoga is said to be a direct process. So, and how a Bhakti Yoga person connects to the Lord? We have a whole program of chanting the holy names of the Lord, eating Krishna Prasadam, reading scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, and singing the songs, kirtans, and the bhajans of the Lord. So day in and day out, we are directly connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is what, and that is how Bhakti Yoga is the highest. And that's the reason Krishna says Bhakti Yogi is the highest. That's what Krishna says as my opinion. So what is Bhakti Yoga? Yoga means to connect soul with the Supreme Personality. But why do we want to re-establish our relationship with the Supreme Lord? Can I be just happy? Why do I unnecessarily break my head with the concept of God? Let him be. Where is he? Let him be happy. I got nothing to do with him. Let me just live my life. All right, live your life. And that situation of a life would be like a fish out of water. You take a small fish, or you take a fish from a small dirty pond and bring that fish to a 7-star hotel on the 99th floor in a suite facing the Pacific Ocean, for which you may be willing to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to spend a night there. If you put a fish on a king-size bed there, do you think the fish would be happy, or fish would be struggling for existence? Fish would be struggling for existence because that ecosystem does not belong to the fish. Fish does not belong to that place. Fish belongs to water habitat. Fish needs water to survive. Similarly, look at all of us. We have got so much in our life, so much possessions, so much comforts and whatnot. If it is cold, we have got a hot water heater. If it is hot, we got an AC. We have got cars to drive by. We got planes to fly in. So many things we have. Yet people are so disturbed, so dissatisfied. Why? Because we are disconnected from our eternal nature, and that is to be connected with the Supreme Lord and to serve. So what is the nature of soul? What is the nature of the soul, which is also said to be dharma? I had already explained this in one of the previous sessions. So the nature of the soul is to love and to serve. Just like the nature of the salt is to be salty. This nature of the salt, that is saltiness, cannot be separated. Just like the nature of the water to be liquid, it cannot be separated from the water. Otherwise, it has no meaning to water. Similarly, the nature of the soul is to love and to serve. And what are the activities similarly? And activities are also the same, to love and to serve. And here I would like to pause, and I want all of you to reflect. Look around, analyze, begin from yourself. Is this not what you're also engaged into? You want to love yourself. Everything begins with self-love. You want to love your friends, family members, then you have love for your society, nation, whatnot. And plus you're trying to serve also in different capacities. Is that correct or not? Is there anyone who does not do any of these two things? Even you quote an example of the of the biggest terrorists or criminals. They may not love all, but still they have love for some section of society. Even they may be haters of complete human race, but still at the end of the day, they will still love themselves. So nobody can say that I love no one, including myself, and I don't serve anyone. Do you all agree with this? The nature of the soul is to always love and serve. Yes or no? With your analysis, if you look around, and I give you a few examples to help you with it. All right. So with that, let's take a look at how our love expands into this world. And it all begins with self-love. And then that self-love expands into a family, love for family members, then to the society. I'm Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, whatnot. To the nation, I'm an Indian, I'm a Pakistani, I'm an American, I'm a British. To humanity, sometimes to humanity, sometimes to animals, PETA, ethical treatment for animals. and to nature, where we try to love the nature. And here is my question to all of you. I hope all would be able to take part into it. Let's imagine there is a person who loves all these. Can his love still said to be unbiased and true love? Again, there is a person who loves his family, loves his society, loves the nation, loves the humanity, loves the nature. Can still be his love said to be unbiased and true love? Yes or no? If you think no, why not his love cannot be still said to be unbiased or true love? What is he missing? So what is he missing? You say no. What is he missing? He loves everything around. He loves family, friends, nation, society, nature, everyone. What is he missing? Okay. No, I'm saying, is his love unbiased, or you think his love is still biased? Shivam is important discussion for Loveleen around. If she is there, fantastic. If not, you have a word with her about this. But she always have the thoughts on this line. Love everyone. So my question to you and to her, if she's there, if you love all these, is your love still, would this love be called as a true love? Okay, great, she's around. So here's my question to you and to others. If there is a person who loves all this, but he does not love God, there is no God in the picture, okay? So let's not assume. Just love all this thing. Can you call that person having a true love and a love which is unbiased? Yes or no? If you think no, why? Why his love cannot be unbiased? Which means his love has to be biased. Why? That why is an important question. What's the reason for it? Okay, Shrestha, there is a selfish motive hidden. Okay, bias, correct. Selfless karma is needed. Okay, I don't know what is selfless karma here, Veena. I haven't heard of selfless karma. I've heard of karma yoga, nishkam karma yoga, sakam karma yoga. Okay, what else? Okay. Okay, that's a interesting answer by you, Shivam. Love is with imperfect senses. Okay. Again, my question to you. So it looks like you all agree that this person would not have an unbiased love. He would still be biased. He may love the white, but may not love the black. He may love the Hindus, may not love the Muslims. He may love the people of one country, but not the other country. He may love the people, he may love the living entities of one particular race, just like in the West, they say love animals, love dogs and eat cow. And they say themselves they are the biggest animal lovers because they love dog, but they eat the flesh of every other animal. So in any situation around, unless the person loves the Lord, his love is always biased. Why? That's my big question. Why the love is always going to be biased and limited and not covering everything? In other words, love will be selfish. Anyone can get the answer of word why? I'll give you another 5 seconds. God is also part of us. Is God part of us or we are part of God? Okay, so it looks like more or less all of you are clueless here. Kaushal is getting close to it. And the reason is because when we don't have Lord in the picture, then who is the Lord? Then I am the Lord. I am the Lord that I survey of. And when I am the Lord, then I define rule. And the foremost reason why our love cannot be unbiased is because of bodily consciousness. Only a person who has developed a true love for Lord can rise above the bodily consciousness. And what are the conditions around bodily consciousness? The bodily consciousness defines you, who you are. You are male, you are female, you have such surname, which means you belong to such caste, such religion. Then you identify with your place of birth, you identify with your skin color, you identify with your race, human race, animal race, like that. And that's the reason so many divisions are created just by identifying with the body. So as long as a person is in a bodily consciousness, and you cannot be of a bodily consciousness if there is no God in the picture. Because otherwise, where is the understanding of spirit? So unless Lord is in the picture, unless our love is for the Lord, we cannot truly love every living entity. When we love Lord, then only a person becomes truly selfless towards every living entity. Very important. Why a person becomes selfless to other living entity once he develops or once he begins to love God? That's my question. Next question. Let's take a look. If you understood this point, why a person who loves Lord or God, then his love becomes unbiased, unselfish. What's the reason? If you love God, then how our love becomes unbiased? Okay, so I guess I'm giving you a little tough questions today. And the answer is simple, because Lord is a supreme father and supreme mother of every living entity. And that's the reason Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the whole world, everyone is our brother and sister. The whole world is our family. The meaning is because the Lord is our supreme mother and father, then every living entity by itself becomes our brother and sister. And that's the whole idea. Then we don't discriminate based on the skin color or the place of birth. We understand that everyone is a living spirit, and spirit is not any gender, does not belong to anything. That's the whole idea. I hope you understood this point, because on this particular subject, there is so much confusion, so much discussions, and people have their opinions. So what to do? That's the reason I spent some time on it. So what is the definition of Bhakti Yoga? The yoga which establishes our soul's love and service for Krishna is called Bhakti Yoga. In which, in other words, where we try to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead with our, with all what we have, we try to serve the Lord. That is said to be Bhakti Yoga. And with that, as a result, we don't only serve the Lord, then we serve all the living entities around. For example, in International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, has been doing a lot of philanthropic work for the last 1.5 months, has been every day cooking, risking their life, and distributing prasadam to hundreds and thousands of people all over India, maybe lakhs of people all over India every day. Now, somebody can say, well, it is a karmic result. What to do about it? Why do we need to get involved into it? Those whoever has a bad karma, they will die, and those who doesn't have bad karma, they will survive. So everything is happening because of law of karma. Why should we get involved? So that's the whole point. Once you begin to love God, you naturally become very compassionate to all. And that's the reason, if it is a time of crisis, it's a duty to help and save our brothers and sisters and serve them. So it's not that in ISKCON we are just serving the deities. We are not serving the other living entities. We are serving. There's a Food for Life program which is going on, had been going on since the beginning of ISKCON has been founded. And this prasadam distribution program had been the culture of Vedic society. Any temple, now unfortunately, because of the policies post-independence that the country had, I don't want to get into the discussion on policies. Most of you will not be aware. But I'll tell you one thing. Let's say take a temple, church, and a mosque. Temple means Hindu temple, church, and mosque. Do you know among the three which is text and which is not text? Among the three religious institutions, which religious institution have to pay tax and which religious institution does not have to pay tax? Rather, they are given many benefits. So it's the only temple that paid tax to the government. And I don't want to disclose here how much tax our temple has to pay to the government. And you can look around who is serving this community today. Which, again, I don't want to get into this kind of discussion, but still, if you think about which church or which mosque today is running a food distribution program. In fact, the government uses money which they charges a hefty tax, and that money is used to maintain these churches and mosques. And you know what the purpose behind it. So this is a part of Vedic culture. That is what it is. If you love God, you love every living entity. That's the point I was trying to discuss. So, okay, this is already discussed. So the yoga which reestablishes our love and service for Krishna is called Bhakti Yoga. When you try to serve yourself, your family, your nation, minus God, it's like you're serving the branch of a tree. However, when you try to serve the Lord, it's like watering the roots, and the whole community and society gets benefited. And that's the whole point about it. So how do we love Krishna? How can we do so? That's the next obvious question. So far is okay. I guess I'm a little quick today. Any questions so far before we go ahead? Just two more subjects are remaining. Any questions, yes or no? If not, we'll go ahead. I'll give you the right to unmute also yourself. So in case if anyone wants to speak up, they can speak also. So you have the right to unmute. If anyone has a question, they can unmute and speak.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just one question. What was the difference you mentioned about watering roots and watering plant parts?
So if you water the roots of a tree, this is a shloka which comes in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which says if you water the root of the tree, the whole tree is nourished. However, if you water the branch or the trunk or the leaves, the whole tree is not nourished. So which means when you just try to serve yourself, serve your family, or serve God, or serve a society, nation, etc., etc., it is like just serving, it's just like watering the parts of the tree. But when you try to serve God first, then everything is taken care. That is called as watering the roots. And that is what we established. If you love Lord, then you love everyone. But if you love everyone but not God, then your love is not unbiased and unselfish. So I hope that is clear. Okay, let's continue. Okay.
Thank you.
So my next question here is, how do we develop love for Krishna? Let's take a look. How can we acquire love for Krishna? Actually, we don't have to do anything because that love is already there within the heart of every living entity. So how do we actually realize that love? A very interesting story, a short story. A young boy, just was walking at the corner of the street and he saw a sculptor. He was carving something and he asked the sculptor, "What are you doing?" And the sculptor said, I'm carving a lion. He said, "You're carving a lion? What do you mean? Is there a lion here?" The sculptor said, "Yes, actually the lion exists within this marble stone. And you come back after a week and you will see a lion." And after a week, the boy came and the boy was shocked. He said, "Oh, really? How did you, how did you know there's a lion within the marble stone?" And the sculptor said, "Well, the lion had always existed, but it was covered by unwanted things. So I used my chisel and I chiseled out the extra things which were covering the lion." Michelangelo, the sculpture is already there. I just removed the excess marble by my chisel. Similarly, why we don't have a love for Godhead, love for Krishna? Because we are also covered over by unwanted things. And just like a sculptor uses a chisel to remove the unwanted particles, unwanted stones from while he's carving out, similarly, when we practice bhakti, the bhakti is a weapon or is a chisel which removes unwanted thing from our existence and brings out that pure devotee who is there within every one of us, every living entity. So what are those unwanted things which have covered us and because of which we're actually not able to love God and because of which we are not able to love everyone in the society, in the world? What are those unwanted things which needs to be removed from us before we can love Supreme Personality of Godhead? Material dust. Are you talking about the material dust? Means what material dust? सड़क पे मिलने वाला धुआं मिट्टी? Is that what you're saying, material dust? I mean, a little be more clear. Sense gratification, okay? See, I'll tell you one thing, Ashwini. There is a far greater sense gratification in spiritual life than people have outside. Shweta Ashwin Sahu, Mo Maya. Pooja says greed. Bindu Bata says Sampradayavad. Oh, interesting, huh? Materialistic desire, jealousy. आप लोग मेरे ख्याल से वो 6 दुश्मन भूल चुके हैं. हम हर व्यक्ति के अंदर 6 दुश्मन होते हैं. क्या क्या वो 6 दुश्मन होते हैं? काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, मद, मात्सर्य. And these are the 6 things because of which we are covered over. And unless these things are chiseled out, our that true devotee which is within us, the true man, the true lover of everyone would not come out. The man or woman in the words. So bhakti is a process, or bhakti yoga is a process by which we can remove these unwanted things. I hope this is making sense. A very important point. Once again, bhakti yoga is a process by which we can remove unwanted things from us, and that love, which is already there within the heart of every living entities, because we are always part and parcel of the Lord. However, we have just got covered over. We have forgotten our identity. So as soon as this illusion, pride, anger, lust, greed, envy is removed, and you will find yourself to be an entirely transformed personality, a magnifying personality like that. So that's what Bhakti Yoga is all about, and that's what the purpose of yoga. So with that, we conclude our section and discussion of the topic of what are the different types of yoga, which is the best yoga, who is a yogi, and what is the advantage of practicing Bhakti Yoga. And now we come to the next question. Can I practice Bhakti Yoga in my family life? Is that possible? Because when you think about yoga, people generally think, oh, घर वर छोड़ के जाना पड़ेगा, संन्यास लेना पड़ेगा, ये करना पड़ेगा, वो करना पड़ेगा. So, a question for all of you, those who have your profession, have a family, or even bachelors, those who are going to get married in future. Can I practice Bhakti Yoga in my family life? You cannot do that. You cannot do Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga within the family culture. Karma Yoga, yes. With Jnana Ashtanga Yoga, you have to be a sannyasi and you have to be living away from the society, probably in the forest. Manish, प्रभु जी पहले ये 6 हटाने हैं और फिर भक्ति योगी, या फिर पहले भक्ति योग करना है फिर ये अपने आप हट जाएंगे. आप भक्ति योगा करिए, पहले कौन बाद में कौन उसकी चिंता नहीं करिए, because by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, everything will be taken care. So the process and the destination is same. The process is to chant Hare Krishna, and the destination is also to chant Hare Krishna. When you develop love of Godhead, you will be still chanting the holy names of the Lord. And while you're trying to develop love of Godhead, you have to chant the holy names. It's the same thing. Yes, you can practice Bhakti Yoga in family life. Why I say so? Because the student of Krishna to whom he spoke Bhagavad Gita was not some sadhu or renunciate sitting in a jungle, was a grahastha, and his name was Arjuna. Arjuna was not a sannyasi. He was a king, he was a family man, and Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to him, and he asked him to become a Bhakti yogi. So I hope this is clear. And Arjuna, it's not that after the war he took a sannyas. They continued to rule for 36 years, and we'll be discussing about all this thing when we start Mahabharata from tomorrow. The second reason people say, okay, ठीक है, मैं घर पे बैठ के भक्ति कर सकता हूँ, very nice. But प्रभु जी, समय ही नहीं है. अपने पे तो मरने का भी समय नहीं है. आप क्या कह रहे हो? भगवान पे ध्यान लगाओ, भगवान का नाम लो. No time. Life is so busy. Oof, too hectic. All right, I agree. Life is very busy. But tell me, do you have time which you can categorize into these 2 categories? Say yes or no, okay, if you have the time. Of course, you have work time, so you do work, agree. So I'm not talking about it. But do you have a time in a category of worry time and a waste time? Waste time means you do things like on social media, internet, chit-chat with friends, which does not add value to your life. You watch a TV, movies, which doesn't add value to your life. Do you have such waste time? Yes or no? Next, do you have a worry time where you sit and think, oh my goodness, ये क्या होगा इस दुनिया का? क्या सही में इंडिया चाइना का युद्ध होगा? अगर हुआ तो मेरा क्या होगा? Are you sitting and thinking like this? Or else you're thinking, oh, मेरा favorite hero सलमान खान कब शादी करेगा? बेचारा अभी तक बैचलर है. उसकी चिंता करनी चाहिए मुझे. Or you're thinking like this? So this is called a worry. This is called a worry time. Does anyone, if you agree that you have this time, worry time and waste time? Fantastic. There cannot be anyone who say no for it. Then you are a perfect human being already. So if you have this worry and waste time, I don't want to really infringe on your work time, but give me some of your worry time and waste time. Not to me, I mean to say, utilize that worry and waste time in remembering the Lord by engaging in the process that we're going to teach you right now. Is that okay? And if you do so, you evolve. You evolve as a great personality. So before I go ahead, do we agree on it? Yes? You're willing to replace your worry time and waste time with a productive activity, spiritual activity? Yes or no? Give me a thumbs up or say yes on the group. So you're agreeing to getting rid of this waste and the worry time from your life, and you're willing to utilize into a productive Krishna conscious activity. If you say yes, I go ahead. If not, then I guess this becomes my waste time because you're not willing to follow. All right. Okay, great. Some of you have said yes. I don't know. Still, others are a little worried about it. Okay. Let's go to the third point. Is spirituality a retirement program? Many times the parents generally say that, बेटा इतना नौजवान है तू अभी से कहाँ भक्ति में जुड़ गया है जब रिटायर हो जाएगा तब भक्ति कर लेना भाई अभी क्या इतनी जल्दी है तुम तो अभी बहुत नौजवान हो पैसा कमाना है शादी करनी है घर खरीदना है गाड़ी खरीदनी है बच्चों को पढ़ाना है उनकी शादी करनी है जब सब कुछ हो जाए रिटायरमेंट के बाद भक्ति करना बेचारा व्यक्ति पेज पे पढ़ने का प्रयत्न कर रहा है but he is not even able to see the word. So what have we made? We have made a spirituality a retirement program in today's society. Even a young man or a woman wants to take the spirituality, the parents or the family members, they come like an eagle or hawk onto him. And they say, no, don't do it, don't do it. Do it after retirement. And my question to those people is, ask them, the parents or your relatives who are telling you to do it post-retirement, have they started post-retirement? Are they willing to do it? They're not going to do it. They just want to tell you to not do it by giving you an excuse. So what will you do post-retirement when you have not practiced rest of the life? You cannot read, you cannot hear, you cannot see, you cannot do any service. Some physical service has to be there. Let's say just offering a flower, plucking a flower, anything. A person is totally useless at that point of time. So if he has cultivated bhakti, then when he's retired, by that time, he doesn't have to do anything physical because his mind is already absorbed. But unless somebody have done physical service, there is a question of mind coming absorbed. That's the whole point. Life is a preparation. And that's what the point is. Now, next question. Should spirituality be given importance? If you're saying not post-retirement, we should do it today only. Should spirituality be given importance? Yes, absolutely. It is the most important thing. And I'll give you a quick example, a real life story. Our devotees in another temple, in another city, were cultivating some doctors. They were students, they were college students. And this particular student was a topper. So all 3 years or 4 years, whatever the years of study they have for their doctor degree. So this particular student, he really wanted to perform well in his final exams. And almost 4-5 months prior to that exam, he stopped coming for any program. And as the months kept on coming close by to the exam, he started to reduce his spiritual practice. Finally, when the last month came, he stopped chanting, he stopped doing anything related to bhakti. And his excuse was, Prabhu ji, bas exams hone do, uske baad to bas aap puchna hi mat, musse bada bhakt koi hoga nahi, pure din raat mein bhakti karunga. Like that, he kept on giving excuse, and then that excuse has become a part of his life. Exams got ended. Then the devotees asked, please, now you come, chant. Prabhu, just give me some break. So hard I work. Let me just relax. I'll be coming back soon. Another 2 or 3 weeks went, and then the result came. And the result came, he was declared the topper. Then again the devotees called, hey Prabhu, you got your holiday, you studied for exams, you got a topper. Today we have a special program with a very special guest. Please come. He said, Prabhu, I want to really come, but because I have the topper of my college, my friends have called me for a big party. They're throwing a big party for me. I have to go for a party. Tomorrow I'll definitely come. And unfortunately for that person, tomorrow never came. When he went for that evening party, he got so seriously drunk that he got a heart attack. And he died on that evening. Where is he now? God only knows. So if we keep on procrastinating, none of us know when death will come. And he kept on procrastinating tomorrow. And there's no tomorrow. What we have is today. And today is the gift. And if we don't value the gift that we are given today, then we'll miss out what we have, and we may not have anything what we are hoping to have in the future. So spirituality is the most important thing. It's almost 6:30 now. I still have a 10 minutes discussion. Now the practical steps, what Bhakti Yoga means, how to do it. If I have permission of all of you, then I can take 10 more minutes and continue. Is that okay? Okay, but this is actually the most important part. Now you have understood what is yoga, what is Bhakti Yoga, the types of yoga, and the importance of taking the spirituality. So let's conclude with how to do it. So how to practice this Bhakti Yoga? If you don't remember anything from this discussion, I'm fine. But at least remember the 5 steps that I'm going to talk to you now. If possible, write it down with a pen and paper. And you know these are the things that we need to do. So the step 1, what should I do now? I am convinced that I need to take to spirituality. I need to practice Bhakti Yoga. What's next? Do the 5 things. Let's go one by one. The very first thing, accept your situation. Do not deny it. What is that? Accept that I am in a sickly situation. I am diseased. I am suffering. What are the sufferings that all of us have to face? Birth, death, old age, disease is a suffering, is a disease that we all have to go through. We are also suffering because of adhyatmika, adhibhautika, and adhidaivika kalesha. Nobody can be rescued from it. So we all are in a suffering state. And what to speak about Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya, those 6 viruses, far dangerous than COVID virus. So let's go one by one. Do you agree that we all are in a disease condition in this world? Yes or no? All of us have the issues of birth, death, old age, disease, and the problem of 6 viruses and the 3 kleshas. So first is to recognize our situation, stop lying to ourselves that no, everything is fine with me. If everything is fine with us, then we'll never ever go to the hospital, take treatment. So once we recognize this is what my situation is, what we need to do is a step number 2. And what is the step number 2? Approach the right hospital. Because now I've recognized I'm sick, I need a doctor's advice. And what is the right hospital? And it is the temple. Temple which acts like a spiritual hospital. Very important. Many times people ask, why do I need to go to temple? Does God exist in temple only? Well, correct. God exists everywhere. But it also means that God exists in temple also. Why people have a problem coming to temple? Sometimes they say though. So here's my answer. Those who think that why build temples? Why to go to temple? It's a simple question. If you go to temple, you feel a far greater experience of connection with the Supreme Lord than anywhere else. Similarly, if you have to study for your exams, you don't go and sit in a cricket stadium or a playground or on the highway or in a traffic area. You go in a library and study because the ambience and environment encourages you to study. Similarly, temple is a place which encourages and inspires you to connect with the Supreme Lord. That's the whole idea. And not only temple, our home can become a temple, a spiritual hospital. And what are the things to do at home to become a spiritual hospital? That not today, but in future we'll talk about it. But the activities that we're going to discuss certain activities that you can begin to practice at your home, and your home will become actually a temple. So we're talking about approach the right hospital, right? When you see the flag of India, what it means, the government of India rules, right? Isn't it correct? When you see a flag of a country, it means, yes, the flag is supposed to mean our country is independent, our country rules, the government of India rules, correct? Similarly, when you see antennas on top of the terrace, what can you conclude? If you see the antenna flag, it is but natural. The television rules. The TV these days has become the center of the house. Everyone is glued to the TV. We intentionally put the photo of Ramayana because recently the Ramayana was played out. So I hope most of the people would have seen it. Otherwise, what we see on the TV, everyone knows. So 800 years of Mughal Empire could not spoil Vedic culture. 200 years of British rule could not spoil Vedic culture. What the one-eyed demon, the television, which means that just 20, 30 years of MTV, ZTV has done to everyone. And not to forgive to give a special reference and credit to Ekta Kapoor and her serials on Kabhi Saas Bhi Bahu, family melodrama, and then she entering into all kinds of crazy stuff, and further degraded the consciousness. Make the Lord the center of your house, not the television. If you are glued to the TV, we're going to speak about it. What's the disadvantage? It's very difficult for us to any time take to Krishna consciousness practice. So the purpose of a house, the God should be the center of the house. If not, for some reason, then at least visit the temple or else make your house into a temple so that you can begin to practice spirituality. So the first thing was recognize you're sick. Second, approach the hospital, go to temple. If not, best is make your house into a temple where the ambience, the presence of Lord is felt. That's the second point. Let's go to the third step, what you can do. Okay, you've reached the hospital, what do you do? Hospital is not a restaurant. It's a place where you go and meet a doctor. You don't go to eat, take a breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So find a right doctor. Now find a right doctor. It's not that every person who wears a uniform and stethoscope becomes a doctor. I believe the first year MBBS student also have to wear the lab coat or that coat. Even in our chemistry and bio lab, we used to wear. And sometimes we used to wonder, oh, it looks like I'm a doctor, but that's not the case. So not by an external appearance, anyone can be quite categorized as a doctor. Similarly, not because somebody is wearing a saffron cloth becomes a guru by itself. Not at all. Big mistake and the blunder that people do. Not because somebody says, oh, my guru is the best, or he's almost like a supreme personality Godhead. Does not mean that he's actually a guru, because some people believe in him. There has to be a proper process of verifying, authenticating that person is actually a bona fide guru. How? The four paramparas. The person should be coming in the four paramparas established by the Lord. Brahma Bhagavad Gaudiya parampara, to which our lineage belongs to. Vishnu, our Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Nimbakacharya Sampradaya. The four Sampradaya to which anyone, if any teacher belongs to, that is actually connected to a proper lineage, and that's how we can understand that person to be bona fide. Just like the post box, which is which is Government of India installed post box, they are certified. However, if you make a similar post box and hang it outside, no postman will come to collect or deliver mails to that post box because it is not certified by the Government of India. Similarly, the paramparas are certified by the Lord. That's the reason. In that parampara, we can take the teachers to be bona fide, at least the initial requirement. And then there are more ways to look into the character of the person. So these are the 3 points. Let's go to the 4th point. Avoid negative things. What are the negative things that we need to avoid? The foremost of is meat eating, because it is against the principle of compassion. Gambling, against the principle of truthfulness. And tomorrow onwards, when we get Mahabharata, we'll see how Yudhishthira Maharaj, he got carried away with gambling, so much so that he put his own wife Draupadi at stake. And even Bhishma Pitama was worried, what is happening, what Yudhishthira Maharaj is doing. And later on, Krishna came and chastised Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira, you're a Dharamraj. How can you act like this? Why did you act like this? And so dangerous are these activities. Even the best of the person like Yudhishthira got bewildered. Third, intoxication, drink, very, very harmful for consciousness, because that austerity is lost. Fourth, illicit relationship, cleanliness is lost, and these 4 things are against the pillars of dharma. So those who are practicing bhakti or those who want to develop a relationship with Lord, dharma has to be practiced, because the purpose Lord appears is yada yada hi dharma, so to establish dharma. So we need to practice dharmic culture. Then only we can think about establishing our relationship with Supreme Personality Godhead. And now we come to the last 5th item. So accept I'm sick, approach the right hospital, approach right doctor, which means guru, avoid negative things. Now, what are the positive things? And I'll put it this way. Just follow the fifth item, focus on the fifth item. All other, everything else will be taken care. Isn't that simple? You don't have to really worry about anything else now. What four things we're going to talk about? Just put your energy into it. Everything else will be taken care. So what are those four things that we need to really work on? If you just do these four things, all of the steps are taken care of. The very first thing is association. Association is of at three level: bad, good, and the devotee association. And the best is the devotee association. Because when we are in the devotee association, we'll always remember the Lord. We'll always remember the purpose of the human form of life. And that's how we'll always stay Krishna conscious, the God conscious. As it is said, association is contagious. What you associate with, you become like. An incredible photo right in front of all of you. Srila Prabhupada was the only person who went to America in a saffron-clad cloth. Do you see how many saffron-clad monks are sitting there? Do you already know or not? Association is contagious. And none of these young men and women had any culture about dhoti, kurta, or even sari. And look, the house full, packed with saffron-clad, shaven-headed brahmacharis and sannyasis, all glorious to one person, Srila Prabhupada. Association is contagious. Okay, all those who are married, don't get worried. That's not the whole objective. So don't think that those who are married, they'll be also shaved up and they'll be given a separate cloth. I was just making a point that association is so powerful, it makes you advance naturally. Second, books. ABCD formula we are talking about. B is books. Association is of people and association is also of information. What you read, what you hear is what you become. If you read literatures like Ramayana, Mahabharata, definitely you will have role models like Yudhishthira Maharaj, Lord Ram, Arjuna, Vidura, Bhishma Pitama, Draupadi for tolerance and whatnot. And like that, if you have role models in your life, but naturally you will cultivate the qualities of gratitude, tolerance, valor, bhakti, and whatnot. And if you have associated with books like, Sherlock Holmes and other books which comes around, which are thriller and whatnot, and if you watch violent movies and the shows that comes which promote sensuality, no wonder people would become more tuned to practice adharma, irreligion. And that's the reason in these days, so much sinful activities are increasing because of the kind of information we are taking, kind of movies, kind of songs, and kind of books we are reading. And that's about association of information, that is books. Replace it with books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, and Mahabharata. C, ABCD formula, chant the holy names of the Lord. A very important way to transform our heart. Many examples are there. Ratnakar, who later on becomes Valmiki, by the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And the holy names of the Lord is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We just need to take to the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And as I said, Bhakti-yoga, this is the core of Bhakti-yoga. But naturally, all those unwanted things will be removed from our consciousness. And this is a verse in Kali Santarana Upanishad, which glorifies the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Iti shodashkam namanam kali kalmashanashanam nata paratarupaya sarvavedeshu drishyate. After searching through all the Vedic literature, one cannot find a method of religion more sublime for this age than the chanting of Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the last item of the positive activity is diet. Diet means not to fast, but diet refers to eating Krishna Prasadam. In one of the sessions, we had spoken about foods in goodness, passion, and ignorance. And when you eat foods in different consciousness, it further encourages those particular consciousness. Similarly, if you eat Krishna Prasada, which means eat freshly cooked vegetarian diet, which is being first offered to the Lord, and then you consume it, then it really transforms our consciousness. I've had my own share of experiences with that, but I would seriously request you all, please take to this process. If possible, offer to the Lord before you eat. If you don't know the technicalities of it, just offer a prayer. Express your gratitude for giving you the opportunity to eat. There's so many people who don't even get a single meal a day, but we have the opportunity to express a gratitude for vegetarian diet. Non-vegetarian diet, that's anyways the other one. Don't say, thank you, my dear God, for giving me the lamb for dinner. So fantastic of you. No, that's not the Lord given to you. That's something that someone else giving to you who's definitely not your friend, but an enemy. So that's about diet. And if we do these four things, keep association of devotees, read books like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chant holy names of the Lord, and replace our regular diet with Krishna diet, everything else will be taken care. And this is the perfection of Bhakti-yoga. You're cruising your way to attain perfection of life, and that's all. You don't have to focus on any negative. Focus on this positive thing. And as Prabhupada promised, you are way back to your Godhead in this one single lifetime. And with that, we come to the conclusion of our session. And these are the summary points that we discussed. What are the yogas? Bhakti-yoga is the topmost yoga, how to practice at home, and how to practically apply this Krishna conscious activities in our daily life. And for that, we discussed A, B, C, D. So with that, we sincerely thank you all for joining us all this while. And I guess I went over time today. So thank you for being part of the session despite my 15 minutes extra time. And tomorrow onwards, if all of you would like, we'll begin our discussion from Mahabharata. So I'll switch to Hindi now because Mahabharata will be done in Hindi. So कल से शाम को 5:15 बजे direct प्रसारण होगा, live Mahabharata conversation or the talk. So we'll be discussing from the Mahabharata, story of Mahabharata and controversies. Please trust me, I don't know every Hindi word for every English. So I'll be doing Hindi-English mix, okay? So Mahabharata has 18 parvas, which is divided into 3 parts. The first part is pre-parva, before war. Second is during the war. And third is post-war. So जब हम कल इसकी शुरुआत करेंगे, तो हम will give the introduction. Of course, Mahabharata, I cannot go in details with all of you. It's a huge thing, but we'll be touching on important aspects of it, keeping the core teachings of Bhagavad Gita at the center of our discussion of Mahabharata. Because Mahabharata is one Vedic epic which has every kind of knowledge available for you that you may ever need in your life. Either be politics, diplomacy, martial arts, whatnot, everything is there. Culinary skills, everything is there, but that's not the focus. Our focus would be to understand the principles of Bhagavad Gita, let's say the 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita, more through the help of the incredible stories mentioned in Mahabharata through different characters. And that's what we're going to see tomorrow when we begin. I hope all of you would be there to join us for this. तो ये हिंदी में रहेगा, तो आप इसके बारे में अपने friends and relatives को भी बता सकते हैं. So with that, thank you all. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, and also thanks to the courses that I referred for this Gita Wisdom course, Journey of Self-Discovery from Chopati, Bombay, and also of Discover Yourself course of His Grace Radhisham Prabhu. Based on that, I just combined the 2 courses and presented in the format of 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. Any questions or any clarifications or any comments? Can I request you, if you're asking a question, if you just switch on your camera, I would prefer to see. So accordingly, it will help me to answer you properly. If anyone wants to say something, they can switch on and then they can speak up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, when we talk about Bhakti Yoga, so
Yes.
is a Bhakti Yogi only a Bhakti Yogi? Isn't he a Karma Yogi as well?
Yes. He is not only Karma Yogi, he's also Jnana Yogi, he's also Ashtanga Yogi.
Okay.
When you're at 12th grade, have you already graduated 2nd, 4th, and 7th grade? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
If Bhakti Yoga is the topmost portion, so of course it means you've already covered all of them.
Perfect.
That's
One more
fine.
question, Prabhuji. When you
Yes.
say that that the four miseries that we have in the life are, life, death, birth, death, old age, and disease. So birth is one of the major, problems of life that we think about. But my question is that when we read Bhagavatam, so Brahma ji was directed to create Manus and Prajapatis to, and they were given the directions to increase the population. So at that time, why this birth was considered to be a priority, and why now in current Kali Yuga it is considered as a problem?
Okay, brilliant question. Okay, Bindu, so I mean, I just see your name right now. So you're studying, you're connected to ISKCON for a while. Looks like you've studied Bhagavatam or have heard about it, huh?
I've
Okay,
been reading the cantos of, which have been translated by Prabhupada. So I've just
okay.
recently started reading. So I had these kind of questions.
Good, good, good. So very nice question that Bindu's. Where are you from, Bindu?
Prabhuji, Faridabad.
Okay, okay, okay. A good question. So before that, we need to understand why we are here. So we are here because of our own desires. And for us to be able to enjoy in this world, we need to acquire a physical body. And that is called as birth. So that's the reason there's this whole process of birth is created. So all the jivatmas who are still having a longings or desires to enjoy this world, they are not sent back to garden. They're kept in this creation. So when the creation happens, because you're talking about the time of the creation, so that kind of time, no jivatma except for Brahma, who is the first living entity born in this creation, has a physical body. Of course, his body is different than ours, but I mean to say, it's still body made up of material elements. So he has a body, and now his task is to give bodies to everyone, so that every living entity who wants to enjoy this world can actually enjoy. uh, you know, because we have this physical body, that's the reason I can, we can enjoy ahar, nidra, bhai, maitunam. Otherwise, how can we enjoy? So that's how the body is given. So there has to be a system for it. And that system was for procreation. The first creation when happened, there was no woman. The first man and woman who were born from Brahma was Swayambhuva Manu and Satrupa. And after that, the whole the process of procreation happened. Before them, the birth like of Narada Muni, four Kumaras, Rudra, and the 10 sages, it happened directly from Brahma without the help of a woman. But to procreate in large number, because there's such huge living entities that need to populate this whole massive creation, that's the reason Brahma created this process or the act of birth, or the process of procreation, or the way the birth takes place, so that the living entities can come in this world, can be given the body. If I mean, I can make this one point, okay? Because the question is quite appropriate and relevant. Now, the mother has to go through a severe pain, a labor pain. If the forgetfulness of that pain is not given to the mother, nobody would ever have more than one child. It's a very severe labor pain that the mother goes through. Almost for a 9 month she has to go through. So if the forgetfulness of the pain is not given, why would mothers again procreate? It's just not possible. So that also is given into the system so that, jivatmas who are waiting to acquire a body can come into existence. That's the whole point about it. And after this, the knowledge is also given to help us understand that this is not the place for us to live, wind up our business and go back to a place where there's no birth, death, old age, and disease. Is that making some sense?
Yes, Prabhuji, definitely.
I mean, you don't have to necessarily end. If you have something as a follow-up, we can always discuss. All
Prabhuji,
right.
yes, Prabhuji, I could understand that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anything else from anyone? Hare Krishna, Binduji. Okay. So, thank you. All of you seems to be totally satisfied. Looks like it's almost quite a lot. We have spent a lot of time today. So, all right. Krishna willing, hopefully we'll see each one of you tomorrow. We'll meet tomorrow evening at the same time. is that I believe this is the time we have decided, so we'll meet the same time. Thank you once again. Hare Krishna. I'll take you
Hare
later.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.